everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Not Another Sports podcast. I'm Trev, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Cody Smith and CJ Round. On today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about NBA with the new NBA restart. We're going to talk about players like JALEN Green and Isaiah Todd's decision to go straight to the G League instead of playing college. We're going to go into football a little bit, talking about college, the impact of the MAC, the travel rosters, limitations, and then the NFL with newly signed Cam Newton and a debate of Sam Darnold versus Joe Burrow. It's going to be a heck of a show. Now I'm going to hand it over to you guys, talk a little bit about yourselves and how we got here.
Cody, you can go first.
All right. My name is Cody Smith. How we got here. The strenuous recruiting process that Trevor put us through. I currently working for the University of Toledo Athletic Department. I'm the video production coordinator and been a sports fan my whole life. It's been my main passion. So I had the idea to come up with kind of like a little mini podcast talking about all things sports, and it's kind of where we're at. So we're going to give it a go and see how it goes.
Yeah, let's go. All right, I'm CJ. Started big sports fan all my life. Graphic designer, so also got my graphic design page. Do a lot of graphic design in the sports community. Just wanted to finally do a pod just to talk sports with some friends, and hey, we're here now making this happen.
I want you all to know when I said how we got here, I was totally meaning the amount of technical difficulties we had and the it feels like an hour and
about that.
An hour and a half to just
talk about
up the first episode.
We don't need to talk about it. That hurts me because I mean this should have been like this. Yeah, should have, man. We should also shout out. I'm in Toledo, doing this from Toledo area. CJ, you're up in Oakland.
Yep, Pontiac, Michigan, Detroit, whatever.
Pontiac, that area. And then Trevor, where are you at?
I'm in the deep south.
The deep south.
The deep south.
Good Lord. In the thick of it, man.
Yes, sir.
Old Miss you.
Let's go ahead and start talking about the NBA and the new restart setup.
Let's go.
So as we know, the new league setup starts on July 30th. There's 13 teams in the West competing and 9 in the East. They're going to play 8 regular season games, and there will be potential play-in games for the 8th seed. So what I want to hear from you all is some personal thoughts. Was it the right move right now to restart the season? Yes or no?
Cody, you want to take it first, or you want me to go?
We can go. Yeah, we'll switch back and forth. I'll start one, and then you can jump to the next one.
All right.
I mean, I think it's. Here's the thing. Just in general, I think that there's not really a right way to go about doing all this stuff. It's just kind of you have to figure out what's best for you and for the NBA. In their case, I mean, they're right at the end of their season. I don't think it would have been smart for them to just say, like what some people suggested, just say whoever had the best record, crown them the champs, because that's as we know from past history, the best team record-wise coming into the playoffs doesn't always actually win the championship. So I think it's smart to do a restart here. The whole 22-team format, it's fine with me. I personally kind of thought we should just do, your top 8 teams from each side, just do a 16-team regular playoff and just start that up, July 31st when they're starting things off. But, I mean, I do think it is interesting. It does allow for you to make a little more money from those other teams that people are going to be paying to watch everything on TV and everything down in Orlando. So you get extra revenue from that, which I know was part of the had to be part of the NBA's decision to allow those teams to come down there. But I mean, I'm happy that we get some basketball back at least at the end of, July, kicking off August. So I'm happy for that part.
Yeah. For me, I have 3 answers. So health reasons, as long as you can do it safe, they plan on doing everything in the bubble. If you can make sure, try to limit as many positive responses of COVID during having your players in the bubble in Orlando, sure, go right ahead and finish off that league. Everybody wants to see who's going to be the champion. Probably would have preferred a different method if they were going to add extra teams and not just do 8 in the West, 8 in the East, maybe like a FIBA group play. Clearly, financial repercussions of this, either if you don't play this season, next season caps are going to go down. People are going to have to renegotiate contracts. And then even with everything that's just going on right now in the world, socially, I would say yes. And then also no. It's kind of like a split in the middle. You just got to figure out what you feel, especially as the NBA players. Some of them have decided they're going to continue to play. Some are going to not play at all. So you just have to find out what you felt comfortable with doing.
Yeah, those are all really good answers. When I looked at it, I kind of looked at it from a different purpose. Is obviously right now due to COVID-19, we don't have anything really to look forward to throughout the day unless you're into Korean baseball. So
Have you seen that league though? Have you seen it?
I love the background with the faces, but
yeah,
let me get back. Let me get back to my point.
It's probably a little more fun than the MLB. They get the bat flip.
Oh, come on.
All right.
I'm just saying, them unwritten rules they're old. It's time to just have some fun.
I need the majors back.
All right, we made it 10 minutes in before we could really just completely go on a whole nother tangent. But I think if you look at it from like the perspective of everything, is these guys are pretty much entertainers. It's what they do. And it might be through the form of playing a sport, but if you look at it right now when their season shut down, they lost their job, they lost their passion, they lost their purpose. So for guys not to be able to go out and to play, I mean, that's got to hurt them like mentally just as much as it does like to all of us. Because I know we all think about it, oh, we're so happy to have basketball back. Those dudes are just happy to play. Yeah. And I think the situation that we gave them is fantastic. Even with like the new like 8-team side thing going on in Chicago is going to be fantastic as well, even though I probably won't be tuned in as much. But I want to ask you all a question. Did you all see the picture that came out today from Orlando with the court set up at all?
No.
I've not.
Okay, if you all once we're done recording, you all need to go check that out because it is fantastic. Because they're putting up like in a ballroom all of the courts together, and I saw like the Pacers court lined up right beside the Heat court, and it was just so cool to see. I'm really fascinated to see how like these games are going to go down because to me, I don't even feel like this is the NBA. I'm gonna just treat it as its own separate thing. We're probably never gonna have another thing like this. To say this feels almost like March Madness. This is going to be crazy. We're going to be watching basketball throughout the entire day. This is going to be, 12 o'clock noon to midnight, and you're just going to see game after game. It's going to be fantastic.
My job might get a little mad. I might be watching some of the games at work.
I understand. I think it's interesting, though. You brought up about the point about, the players and this being like their profession. This is how like they make their money and everything. I know another concern about the NFL season going forward is those players that have been maybe got drafted, for example, they're looking for a chance to like get to the NFL, play in the league that they've dreamt of playing in for their entire lives. The NBA, the unique thing is they've already played the majority of their schedule. So these guys have already had a chance to be seen. I mean, it is hurting their brands for like individually that they can't continue out their season, make their names for themselves in the playoffs, those teams that were already going. But so I get it from that standpoint, but I mean, teams like the New Jersey Nets, you've seen the players that are not going to be down in Orlando. The Brooklyn Nets. Dude, Brooklyn Nets.
Come on now. Come on.
The Brooklyn Nets. Guys that like won't be there. Kyrie, obviously KD's out for the year. DeAndre Jordan's not going to be there. Dinwiddie's not going to be there. You have a bunch of guys who are missing from that roster. You have guys that are missing from the Wizards that are going to be down there as well. So the brand of basketball that you might see from some of these teams is not going to be as great because you're not going to have certain pieces that made this team a potential playoff contender back before this whole thing struck.
But let's just be honest. We probably only have about 3 teams in the West, 2 in the East that are really going to be in that final matchup. It's either going to be Lakers, Clippers, or you can toss a third team in there from the West. And then you're going to either have, I don't know, either Milwaukee or maybe even Toronto. They're looking pretty dangerous even without Kawhi Leonard.
The Nets are going to be so fun to watch. Even if you take away all the start – yeah, I know you're looking at me like that. But if you take away the star power, you're going to see some new players for the Nets step up in bigger roles, and I'm actually really excited for that. If you look at like Kukoc or Kirkoc, or I don't even know how to say his last name. Hopefully I got that.
I know you're talking about.
Zanin Musa and Nick Claxton. Do you all even know who Nick Claxton is?
Yeah.
He was my favorite player coming out of the draft last year, and unfortunately with the way the Nets roster kind of shaped up and him physically not being quite there yet, Claxton is going to be so much fun.
Funny thing about him. So I actually know his cousin through the Marine Corps. So I actually got to meet the guy once, but I know his cousin through the me serving in the Marine Corps. Dude is really good. I watched him play in college, and yeah, he's definitely gonna have time to actually play and show his talent off.
He played spot minutes in the season and did pretty well, but I mean, when you're looking at skill sets for big men, The dude's 6'11", can handle almost like a point forward what he did at Georgia. Has a little bit of stretch out potential, but I mean, his lateral like quickness for a big is unreal. I mean, this guy was switching on to college point guards, and he was guarding Kerwin Roach at one point, who was at one point the fastest guard in college basketball, debatably. So, like, I'm really excited to see a guy like him go out there and actually prove that he can belong on this stage, and especially play minutes like this against top competition. As far as the format goes, I really wanted to see a group stage format. I know at one point they talked about it, and it was like they were going to split them up into 5 groups, and they could all draft who they play against. And I thought that would have been such a fun element to see. Like, even if we could just broadcast, like, the team selecting it. Or, like, you know how they do, like, the soccer, like, alignment for, like, the Champions League? Just imagine, like, like all the thought and strategy they'll go into, okay, who do we want to play? Who do we think's going to play? Who do we think's not going to play? That would have been some A-plus television.
So which one of these teams do you guys think that we're kind of on the outside looking in, they get a chance to get in now because of this format, do you think is the most dangerous to maybe some of those teams that we talked about, like the LA teams, the Bucks, the Raptors teams that were, you know, at the top of their conferences before this whole thing struck? Don't you dare say the Nets. Don't you dare say the Nets. I swear, I don't care about Claxton, man. I don't care. All right? He's not going to be the difference maker between getting them, like, into the playoffs there.
No, I'm actually going to go with my homer pick because I think when you see this NBA startup happening, for starters, we don't know who's going to play. We don't know, you know, how many players are going to go, who's not going to go. But based from what I've heard, I think this is, with only a month being a start time to actually practice and get back into basketball shape, I think this is going to be defense heavy. I think the teams that are going to be able to come in and play like grinding defense and actually like use their players and their depth effectively actually have a better chance of knocking some teams off. So my homer pick, I'm going to go Orlando Magic. Might surprise a couple of teams. They're very long. Once they get Jonathan Isaac, Nick Vucevic back in there, Terrence Ross, Markelle Fultz, I actually think that, by the way, this has been another offseason for Markelle Fultz. I'm interested to see where his jump shot is at now that he's actually had an offseason to actually practice and train back forward, because last year he was just getting back into shape. So I'm really interested, but I have to feel like I go with the homer pick right now.
Oof, homer pick. Man, that's a hard decision. I really don't. Portland? It can't be Portland. They're going to probably play the Lakers in the first round. Who knows? Maybe the Jazz finally get it all together and might surprise us. They might
Ingles.
take a little bit of a run.
No Ingles, though.
No Ingles, but finally Mike Conley might actually step up and do what he has been able to do. He's started off the season pretty bad, and people are like, man, this is probably a bad signing. They should have just got somebody else. But this, like, break off, time to readjust, get yourself back into game form. Who knows? He might be ready to step up and help Donovan Mitchell and Gobert make a little run.
Honestly, I'm just happy the Pelicans are in it. I really am. To me, they're a team this year that has absolutely nothing to lose. They know this is not their year. I mean, especially with the way that the season started without having Zion. They're a team that's looking forward to the future, and the fact that they have a chance to even just kind of, you know, have this opportunity to try to get in and try to maybe ruin one of those top teams, you know, chances even. You know, I think that they're going to be a fun team to watch. Obviously, just having Zion back, but having that young core with Ingram and Ball and all those guys, you know, I think it could be a fun team to watch. I don't know if they'll actually make any noise per se, but I think that it could make it interesting for some of those top contenders if they face them.
I think it's fantastic for the Pelicans. I think they're going to be so much fun to watch. You're right. You mentioned the young core, and then Drew Holiday added in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
They could –
JJ Redick too.
Yeah, they could absolutely make some noise if they get all their players in there. I mean, I don't know what the quality of this basketball is going to look like. And I keep bringing it back up, but, like, these dudes don't have a lot of time to get back into shape. They don't have a lot of time to train to get back in their offensive sets. They are relying on knowing that stuff. I mean, this could be more like freestyle, like kind of like pickup style ball, or is this going to be like running tons of set style ball? We don't know what it's going to be like. It's just going to be so much fun to watch in itself.
Yeah.
So on that note, I think we're going to transition a little bit, and we're going to talk about the high school basketball circuit a little bit as we've started to see.
Let's talk. Can we talk about whether there should be like an asterisk next to this season or not? I think it's good. I think it's a good point.
You're right. CJ, is there going to be an asterisk next to this season?
That's the $1 million question. Is there going to be an asterisk next to this season? Me personally, I would say no. Everybody's getting a chance. Everybody's on equal settings to make it to the playoffs at this point, besides like the 8 seeds. And everybody's going to have the same time to recover, figure out, and get acclimated back into their offense and whatnot. For the most part, everybody should be back on an equal setting. So I would say no. Whoever wins, they win. If anything, then at most NBA, if you want to call it, I don't know, a different title, sure, go ahead with that idea. If you don't want to call it the NBA championship, fine. But I wouldn't put an asterisk next to it. If the season is going to get completed, it's going to get completed.
Dude, I honestly think anyone that's living through this right now is going to have an asterisk next to 2020 in their heads for anything. Like that's just for the fact of what happened. In terms of, the NBA having an asterisk next to it for this season, I think you're only going to hear people talk about it and try to either make that a reality or make a case for it if the team that wasn't expected to win the title or the couple of teams that weren't expected actually wins the title. But at this point, even with the format, the extra teams getting in and having a chance, I don't see somebody knocking off a Milwaukee or a Toronto out of the East or knocking off one of the LA teams in the West getting to the finals. Yeah, I honestly don't see that happening at this point. And if you want to put an asterisk next to this, then you can make the argument for putting asterisks next to previous NBA finals. Like last year's a perfect example. The Raptors won it. They beat the Warriors, but who the Warriors have, who they have. Yeah, exactly. You're telling me a fully healthy Golden State squad last year doesn't beat the Raptors? I mean, that's again. So if you want to have that conversation, put an asterisk next to this season, I get it and everything. But if you're still having a playoff format similar to ones in past years, in terms of like when we actually get to it, then I don't see how you can complain too much about it.
Yeah, I love that claim. I'm kind of right there with you. Is if you want to put an asterisk there, go ahead. But, I mean, you should just be happy that basketball is back. If you're debating this 5 years down the line, just think about the fact that we couldn't even have this. And the fact that we do is just fantastic in itself, is from a fan standpoint. So, like, I don't even see it being worth the debate. Yeah, Cody, you're right. One of those top dogs are probably going to take home the championship. It's probably the way it's going to play out. But still, it's just fantastic that we have basketball back, and we shouldn't even be complaining about it in the slightest. I just hope everybody stays safe when it goes to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if one of those top teams doesn't win it, I mean, that's basketball. That's one of the beautiful things about basketball. It's one of the beautiful things about, in college March Madness. You never know who's going to come out at the top. Professional is a little easier to predict and stuff, but there's been plenty of years where, like, the Mavs in 11, they've knocked off the Heat. Who thought that was going to happen? So I mean, you never know what's going to happen. So, but I won't complain about it. I don't think there needs to be an asterisk. But
final thing on the NBA restart, the jerseys with the names on the back being like your social cause or standpoint. How much are those boys going to be worth? Just think like 5, 10, 20 years down the line. If you're buying someone's jersey with a BLM on the back, like, man, that's going to be worth so much money. That's going to be fantastic to see. I love the idea of the NBA doing this. I love them promoting their cause on here. And that's fantastic. I can't wait to see that. And I'm definitely going to cop me a few.
I'm sure you will. I love that. I love that the NBA is the way they work with their players, the way they have kind of a unity with them. I think Adam Silver's done a great job. I think he's one of the best commissioners that we've seen in all of sports in a while, in terms of how he treats his players, how he takes in their consideration, their thoughts, and their families. And he takes everything into perspective before he makes a decision. And it always, maybe not to everyone, but it seems to me at least to be a correct one, and a good line of thought that he has behind everything, that he does as commissioner. So, I applaud him with doing that extra little thing as well.
Yeah. The NBA has always been spot on social issues. Like, they've always let you know they're more than just athletes, as LeBron would always say. So I think that's definitely just awesome. And I'm happy that the NBA, with Adam Silver and everybody else part of the organization, support their players to actually be a part of their communities and try to shoot for change so that everybody in our country can just be seen on an equal footing. So I think that's going to be dope. Can't wait to see what some of the jerseys are going to be. Obviously, we don't want anything like how John Morant originally had posted on his social media to be like that, because you want to also have effective change, and he apologized for it. So you probably don't really want to see that right now on NBA. And maybe you're going to lose a few fans because some people just don't want to see that. They say, hey, I'm just here to watch basketball or whatever. But it's really for a good cause. So I can't wait to see what some of the players are going to come up with.
Yeah, no, it's going to be so much fun. This is my last little tidbit here, but I know the NBA is so much about entertainment, and they're always willing to do different things to like attract different viewers and to really give fans the inside edge. Could you imagine if there was some sort of like cameras going around the hotel? Because you know these players are still going to have their families out there. They're still going to live. They're all staying at the same resort. That would be the best thing I could ever watch as far as a reality show. Is just a bunch of NBA players. Imagine like, I don't know, a heated game between like the Lakers and Rockets or whoever play, you know, and you just see like LeBron just walk by like Harden or whatever and just, you know, be like, hey, you know, I dropped 35 on y'all last night.
Oh man. And I wish they'd just mic the players up. I know they said they're gonna add like the 2K sounds, but I think I kind of want to hear like the players actually mic'd up. Like I wish the NBA, if anything, they would just do a censored version like we normally would have, and then do just like for the MJ doc, how you had the uncensored version. Because you know you're not gonna have fans, so you're gonna be able to hear these players like talking how they normally would talk to one another on the court. Pretty sure we're gonna hear some things. I want to hear that extra competitive spirit.
We're going to go ahead and talk about high school players going straight to the G League instead of going overseas or into college. And most notably, we have big names like JALEN Green, the #1 player in the ESPN class, debatably, big time debatably if you follow the high school circuit, and Isaiah Todd also doing the same thing, and the potential of a player like Jonathan Kuminga next year who could be doing the same route. Guys, what do you think? Is this the new norm? Are we going to see players start to make this move before the draft goes back to being eligible right out of high school?
Yeah. I think we're going to start seeing a lot of the top players, especially #1, #2, #3 players, not going to college anymore. Like there's that opportunity to go ahead and as soon as you're 18, graduate high school, to make millions. Like I know some people say, oh, it's a free education, but a lot of these guys, they're one and done. So they're not even going to some of their classes half the time, and they're not even doing a full semester. So for me, it's kind of like if you have that opportunity to start getting some league experience or playing against older and better competition and getting yourself actually for the NBA and still getting paid, some of these players, you know, they could be helping their families out through these through the financial situations that they're going to be receiving from going to the G League route. So I think you're definitely going to see the top tier players deciding not to go to college. You're going to have some that might want to just go to college just to have that experience. Like Imani Bates for the class of 2022, I believe. He said he wants to go to Michigan State. I doubt he's going to Michigan State, honestly. Don't even think he'll take a foot on college campus.
He committed, though.
He committed, but
Isaiah Todd committed to Michigan, and he's gone. So it don't mean nothing, man. Don't mean nothing.
I know that hurts, Cody. I know
it hurts me so bad.
If you all don't know, Isaiah Todd had committed to Michigan, and with that had the commitment of Josh Christopher. But when Isaiah Todd broke that he was going to go to the G League, they lost Josh Christopher in the process to Arizona State. And absolutely brutal news for Juwan Howard, who's trying to build things up in Michigan. But that's got to hurt, Cody. I saw that, and I was like, oh, man.
I cried myself. I cried myself. I was mad because I'm a big Michigan fan as well. I was just like, great.
If anything, yeah, I mean, this isn't the most obscure thing. I mean, obviously, like CJ alluded to, we've had guys who spend, just a little over a semester in college before they make the jumps to the pros after their freshman year. I think there should be some more restrictions on the college game. I would like how the NFL has some rules in place for that in terms of when you can leave and until after your sophomore season, which might be amended still. But if anything, it's just going to hurt college basketball. It's going to hurt the brand. It's going to hurt what they can put on the court because – I mean, imagine if Zion Williamson never went to Duke. Imagine if he just made this jump right to the G League or right to the NBA. I mean, you would not have gotten all that craze this past season. I think this is one of the highest viewed, seasons. And, the tournament, obviously last year was one of the highest rated, I think, because of the fact that guys like Zion and RJ Barrett and all those top guys, John Morant, guys like that were playing it and were in there. So, I mean, it's definitely going to hurt, I think, college basketball. But this goes back to trying to control college athletes. If people are in favor of them having their own rights, having the ability to own themselves as their own brand, as their own identity and stuff, you have to allow this kind of stuff to happen. And if you're a college player and you have that decision, if you're like Isaiah Todd, I mean, yeah, it hurts people like me that you commit to my school and then you choose not to go. But, you have the chance to either go to a university like Michigan, for example, get very good coaching. Obviously, Juwan Howard and his staff, I think in only one season have done a fairly good job with what they have. I think the best is yet to come. Or you can go to the pros. I mean, the G League is an extension of the professionals, so you're getting that kind of experience there and you're getting your feet wet right away. And a lot of those guys aren't going to be there very long anyway. Isaiah Todd, he's not going to be there long. You kidding me? Like, so, I mean, if anything, it's going to help out the individual that goes, I think, and they can start making some real money right away, but it is going to hurt the college game a lot if they lose the guys that could be helping boost their TV ratings, getting people in the seats of their stadiums.
I'm actually on the opposite side when it comes to that. I don't think college basketball would be hurt a ton by players going straight to the G League. And I say that because it was funny you brought up John Morant. John Morant wasn't really highly rated coming out of high school. I mean, this is going to be good for guys that are polished, that are young, that need to develop, for guys like that to go to the G League. I mean, Jalen Green's one of those who's physically not quite ready there. And Isaiah Todd definitely needs some more physicality to his game. But I mean, for the most part, I think you look at the college game, this is just an opportunity for other players to step up, and they will, because as we've known, some guys, they don't hit that growth spurt until they're a sophomore in college or however old. I think the classic is Giannis was drafted at 6'8", grew to 6'11". We're going to see stuff like that. But I think when you look at guys like Jalen Green, who right now has the potential to be a lead guard in a couple of years, but right now plays out on the wing. He's a 3-level scorer, number one player in ESPN 2020. A guy like that to make $500,000 right out of high school and then to go get coached up by NBA coaches, train like an NBA player, this should be the norm for some of the top players if you're ready, if that's what you want to do. Now, sometimes there's family needs involved where they might have to take the money, and that's just the case that it might be. But you should definitely do it, and you should definitely go see that. Why spend time in class? Go train like a pro athlete. That's the way it should be. But for the most part, I don't see it slowing down. I think we might get a couple players here and there every year because I think there will only be the one select team. Hopefully we don't get to the point where the top 20 out of every high school class is doing that, because that wouldn't be good. Because I know there's going to be players who do it and it doesn't work out for them. But for the most part, I love the idea of it, and I love that they took this route, because that's one way that the NBA is trying to get their basketball to be better for the future. And I love this route. I love it for them.
Yeah, go ahead, CJ.
So I kind of agree with you as well, Trev. I don't see, honestly, all college basketball getting ruined by this. If they only stay with one select team, maybe 8 of the top players out of high school are going to go to the G League or whatever the case might be. So I don't see all of them staying. And then I probably wouldn't be in favor of still putting that restriction on when they can declare, kind of like how football does, solely for basketball, because basketball, you can have that 1 year and now your potential in draft stock has risen. So now you should be able to have that chance to capitalize on that ability to get picked higher. Because even for baseball at the college level, they can declare from high school all the way their freshman, sophomore, junior. They can declare whenever they want. And then, like I said, I just don't see the talent, because there's plenty of players, like Cheryl was saying, John Moran was kind of not even known of. So now you're going to force college coaches to really do their recruiting and not just go to the top high school, like the Peachtree Jam or stuff during the summer AAU circuit, and just try to nitpick from that pool of players. They're going to have to go to these schools that aren't known and find their talent and just develop their talent. That's just going to have to be back to how real college basketball was set up back in the day. If you find talent, you have a winning team right there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with those points. I mean, it is going to force you to find, dig a little bit deeper and find those guys that have that talent that, like you guys mentioned, John Moran a couple of times already, but you have to wait till the season to see those guys, though, to see those guys' talents come out. Going into the season, if you got a guy like like a Isaiah Todd or Jalen Green on your roster already, people know he's there. People are going to tune in from the very first opportunity, the very first tournament that they're in, before they get into conference play and stuff. They're going to be tuning in and watching from the jump.
True.
If they got to take time to figure out who these guys are, I mean, eventually they'll catch on and stuff, but initially they're not going to know anything about them. So you're going to have to watch, and you're going to have to hope that people watch these games and pay attention, because these guys might not be splashing all over the front pages of headlines and everything if they're not that well known coming out. So, but I do agree. I do think it will find guys who would not have gotten that opportunity might get more opportunities now that some of these star guys might be opting to jump to the G League.
Who knows? We might get some of the cool nicknames from back in the day, like Five Slammer Jam, the Fab Five. We might get some of them cool nicknames again.
There'll never be another Fab Five.
Yeah, my last
Legends,
point
man.
on it is I think people sometimes kind of forget how good the competition in the G League really is. So when you get a group of high school kids, even especially at that young, they may not compete to the best. But, I mean, you look at some of the dudes that are in the G League right now. Tremont Waters out of LSU last year was one of the best defensive players in the class, ended up being I want to say Rookie of the Year for the G League, maybe an MVP, I'm not sure. And then you look at other guys. Frank Mason, Player of the Year at Kansas a couple of years ago, was playing in the G League.
Yep.
I mean, there's plenty of competition in the G League that is guys who could be in the NBA if it wasn't for a certain guy in a roster spot or the way they want to stagger their depth. And I think that's fantastic because as a basketball fan like myself, I want to see these guys play against the best basketball that they can. And right now, that's the G League instead of going to the college route.
Yeah.
Yeah, so transitioning a little bit, we're going to go and talk a little bit about a newer trend, maybe in light of what's going on with some social issues, maybe not. I don't know what the correlation is. But we're starting to see some high school recruits start to be interested in HBCU universities. Preferably, as most recent, we see Mikey Williams has been very vocal, the number 3 player in the class of 2023, about going to that. And he keeps tweeting out a bunch of stuff about it, making me believe he's going to go. And Thon Maker's cousin McCurr just released Hampton in his Final Four as a 2020 recruit. And that just happened today. So I, for one, am very excited to see what this is. I want to know what your all's thoughts on this is. Could we be changing the college landscape even more?
I'll start. I think you'll start seeing a little bit of a change, honestly. I think for a lot of these HBCUs, you might see some of the top talent, especially with everything that's going on right now. You're going to see some players go to HBCUs. And if you don't know what HBCU stands for, it's Historical Black College University. So, yeah, you're definitely going to see some players going to HBCUs. Clearly, you're not going to have everybody in the pool that can go to a HBCU. You're definitely going to start seeing, I believe, some elite level, highly recruited players going to the D League, or not the D League, but the HBCU. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good opportunity, and it's also that kind of initiative that some players come into with trying to make their name for themselves at an institution that hasn't really had people come out of it that have had a big impact on the next level, I guess you can say. So maybe a guy wants to make a name at a smaller school that really hasn't had a whole lot of pub in past years. That could be another thought process of people as well to go along with everything that's been happening in recent events in our society. But I mean, I think it's a good opportunity, and I'd look forward to seeing how it develops as well.
I see it from 2 standpoints, actually. The first is that anytime I can see the smaller schools go out and get big time players, I'm for it, as we can kind of get that gap between Power 5 to low major, just kind of scrunch that in as best as we can in any way. I'm for it. Just creates better competition overall. And the second is these players have a platform. Mikey Williams is a freshman in high school, maybe, and he's going out and he's sophomore.
Yep, sophomore this year.
Okay, sophomore this year. Yeah, and he's already going out and making these kind of headlines about things like that. That's his cause. That's what he believes, and that's what he's embedded in. I think he should absolutely be considering something like that. That's fantastic for him, and I think it will be a little bit of a trend going forward, because if that's what you believe in, that's what you're going to do. And you get one chance to make that college decision or whatever professional decision you want to do. If you want to take it, go for it. 100%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, yeah, it's every player's decision. You have to do what you feel makes you comfortable. I know, like, I was listening to DeMar DeRozan, and he went to USC. And sometimes for some of these players, like a lot of the Black NBA players, it's a culture shock. Like some of them come from impoverished areas. You're not accustomed to being around any other race except your own race. So it's that culture shock. And being at a HBCU, it kind of can be a little less of a culture shock because you're around people that look just like you, might have some beliefs or just do things or come from what you come from. So it's kind of like it feels like a second home almost for some of these players. So yeah, like I said, you're gonna definitely see some players. You've seen football players make it to the pros from HBCUs. I've seen tracks. I think just last year, like one of the top track athletes went to North Carolina A&T, and it surprised everybody. So it's already something that's happened. You're just now seeing it, and you're gonna hear about it in the mainstream sports, the basketballs and the footballs.
Yeah. And for even if you're top recruits, top prospects coming out that want to go there, there's no worry about, there should be any worry in their minds, at least, about being seen by professional scouts or anything, because they'll find you anywhere these days. Yeah. Like that's a thing in the past, if that ever really was a thing. So, so that's not even going to be an issue. So I think that's just more so what they want to do in terms of if they feel that going to that kind of institution fits them, and what they want to do from, their own standpoint. So.
Yeah, so it's kind of good that we started talking a little bit about other sports, other athletes. We're going to transition right into college football. And we're going to start – yeah, we've been focusing a lot on basketball because that's mostly what's been talked about with the restart coming. But college football, full stadiums allowed at games in the fall, question mark?
No, that's not happening. That's not happening. No. I mean, speaking from – being an inside source, I think at University of Toledo, we still haven't figured out what our plan is going to be even. And, there's been talks about, all around the country about being like, are we going to be at 50% capacity, 25%, are we going to space everybody out, throughout the stadium? What does that mean for season ticket holders? What does that mean for the average fan who just wants to come to a game? It's just all up in the air still. Everything is, and I think that, in terms of college football, I think they are looking to the NFL to see what they do as well before they make a final decision about it. But I find it hard to believe, especially with things kind of going back on the rise right now, and you seeing all these things in the news of people just crowding beaches and bars. And, I saw this one picture of like or video of a public pool or something out in California where it's just like everyone was like shoulder to shoulder. It's like, people aren't following the safety guidelines that are being put forth by our medical professionals. And that's only going to hurt your ability to go to events like this. You're going to have to stream them. You're going to have to, if they still happen, which I think that we will have a college football season, along with the NFL. But in terms of, stadiums, I cannot imagine them being at full capacity this year. No.
Yeah. The college level, I'm not sure. Like college football, we all know college football runs universities. A lot of schools, especially the bigger schools, like they support their school by having a college football season. So I guess it's going to depend on some of the schools and how certain states are handling COVID. I think some schools are going to try to be as full as possible. Some are going to be like no fans. Some are going to be 50, 25%. So I don't think you honestly should do probably no more than 50% at most. Especially like at the bigger schools, the OSUs, Alabamas, Michigan, where you can fit 100,000, you can probably get 50,000 and have proper procedures in there to try to keep everybody as safe as possible. But I definitely don't think you should be right now having full pack stadiums at all.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I just want them to do what's ever the most safest for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that we get a season. I hope that we get to continue to see sports. Maybe that'll make everything go back to normal. I will make one case for the fact that they might consider it, and it's not exactly what you would think. But obviously growing up, undergrad, I went to Toledo, smaller school, big time kind of city, 250,000 people, yeah. But
Present.
But now that I've had to spend some time in Oxford, Mississippi, I've been around Ole Miss, is that football runs this town. And it's not just for the university, it's for the town itself. It's businesses, it's restaurants, it's bars, it's stores, everything that you can imagine, hotels. So when you look to it like that, and you had to understand that, like, this is when they make their money, because they'll make more in that weekend than they'll make for the rest of, like, the month, that they might have to consider looking at something like this, because right now some of these businesses can't survive without it, and they look forward to that. So that's just the one point I wanted to make, is that's one thing I've noticed down here is it's a lot different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I know CJ mentioned about the fact that, the football season for a lot of universities, that's their big money grab and that's their big revenue. And that's 100% true. I think it's even especially more so true for smaller schools because, like Michigan's AD said, if we're not having students on campus, you're not having a football season. But a school like Michigan, with all the alumni they have and all like the resources they have, they can afford to not have a season one year. A school like, schools in the MAC or some of these smaller like mid-level conferences, they can't afford to not have a fall season because it's going to change the landscape of things a lot around those institutions. Mm-hmm. And, you talked about like, down Ole Miss. Think about the state of Texas. Football is that's where the biggest amount of football happens in this country is in Texas. And that's one of the hottest states right now for COVID. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens down there and how those fans respond in that part of the country because of the overwhelming health concerns due to this crisis that are still happening in that state as we approach, what would be the start of the college football season.
It's just going to be interesting to see these small, like, actual college towns and their response to it, because the SEC is filled with them. The Big 12 has a few, ACC has a couple, and it's going to be fascinating to see because they really need something to kind of stimulate their economy as well. But safety should triumph everything. But I'm glad we got to talk about that a little bit. And, Cody, let's talk a little bit about the MAC and their limiting travel rosters for that. Could that have an effect on gameplay at all?
I don't think so. The funny thing is, and for a lot of schools, you have, like you said, there's already limitations during the season sometimes. There's already limitations on who you can bring to certain road games, whether you're in conference, out of conference. And, just from my experience with traveling with Toledo, you bring the roster guys, you have guys dress, but you got guys on the sideline who are standing there in, 30-degree weather in November and don't have a prayer of seeing action on the field, but they're just made to tough it out, You have a lot of guys you bring along just because they're part of the team and because if something does happen in the game, you bring them in. But I think past like third-string players, maybe for a lot of positions, those guys don't need to be there. And if they can limit who goes based upon, what their eligibility status is, if they're injured or not, if, the coach really thinks that they're going to have a chance to see the field, I think those are, necessary things to look at because it will, like I said, I think help keep the team safe. I think that's what people are also forgetting too. We're talking about if fans will be able to go. You got to think about the players too. They're going out there. They're not going to have masks. We've seen these mock-ups of like potential like mask on helmets and everything that they might implement. I mean, you can't do that. So these players going out there and they're risking their own safety just to play the game that they want to play and that they choose to play. But if any way to make it safer, I think should be, something to definitely explore. And I think that's good that the MAC is exploring it.
So honestly, I looked into what the MAC was doing, and honestly, with them reducing some of the players that are going to travel, honestly, I kind of can see what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of players going back to their high school roots where they might have played both ways. And so now you're going to have players learning how to play two positions, one on offense, one on defense in a weird way, just in case a lot of players get hurt. And now it's like, I need you to play both ways. But I don't honestly, I just don't see them bringing maybe an extra kicker or having two punters with them or whatever. They're not going to bring non-key positions. Like, you're going to have your quarterbacks. You never know what happens. Running backs, receivers, linebackers, stuff like that. But you're just going to have that fourth or fifth string because some of these college teams are huge, at least 100 players on these teams. You're just going to see that person that was fifth string probably not going to see action, just not have to travel to away games. They're still going to be going to their home games. So, yeah, I don't see it really affecting them too much.
Yeah, this is something that I didn't really look a whole lot into. I'm not going to lie. I saw it as a news and I was like, oh, Cody, you're working for a MAC school, so maybe you could give us some input on it. But let's transition to a little bit more fun thing to do with college football. And let's talk about the surprise quarterback that no one, especially Cody, has heard of. and Trey Lance. So I'm going to break down a little bit about Trey Lance. Lance is a quarterback at North Dakota State University. He completed 67% of his passes for almost 2,800 yards last year, with 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He had 1,100 rushing yards and 14 touchdowns on the ground. And I think there's going to be a legit conversation coming up. This dude might be QB2, might try to make a push for QB1, even though I don't think it'll happen. CJ, what do you think about Trey Lance?
So I got to watch him in the FCS championship game, and honestly, North Dakota State, we know they're just a powerhouse in that division of Division I football. I believe it's the subdivision, right? Am I wrong? Yeah. So North Dakota State's always been a powerhouse lately. I think there's something like 8 championships in the last 10 years or something like that. And I've seen him play, and he seemed very composed, not making many mistakes at all. From the one game I seen, very accurate. And yeah, I was watching ESPN, and people were talking about, I think it was NFL Live, and they were talking about, yeah, he might be, if he's not QB2 or 1, he definitely is probably going to be QB3. And not a lot of people know about him. But I think it's just what's going to happen is this year, if there's a season, people are going to know about him, and he's going to have that Carson Wentz effect.
Yeah, so this is something that I had gotten to see him a couple of times. I had heard his name a few times. But I think we're at a point now, and I know there's going to be people that's making the competition argument that he plays in the FCS. If you have talent, the NFL will find you, and it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. Let's talk about some quarterbacks of recent history that have come out of the FCS. We're looking at Carson Wentz, number 2 a couple of years, probably 4 or 5 years ago, the Eagles. Garoppolo back with the Patriots. Look how well that turned out. Flacco with the Ravens, first round out of Delaware. Tony Romo, undrafted to the Cowboys. If you can play, you can play. And for a guy like Lance, it doesn't matter that he went to North Dakota State. From what I've seen out of him, it doesn't matter that he's only played 1 season. This dude makes the decision-making of a vet at quarterback. And I'm telling you, this guy is going to be a major impact player. His athleticism might even rival Justin Fields. He can make all the throws. He may not have the arm of Trevor Lawrence, but I think there is certainly going to be people that believe he's QB2, if not making a push for QB1. He is legit, and I can't wait to see what they do next year and how much it'll actually be on him. Hopefully they get a couple D1 games. That's what I want to see, is the impact that he plays against a higher competition.
Yeah, and for those people that are concerned about his competition that he's playing against, if anything, if you're that concerned, you really think that that's going to be an issue and you're still looking at this guy, you're going to look even deeper into his mechanics, what he looks like, where he releases the ball from, his footwork in the pocket. And you're going to look at all that stuff and break it down even further. That's only going to help him, from people deciding if he's good or not. And more times than not, you saw with Carson Wentz, those guys pass the test. I remember when he went to go work out with the Browns before that draft, and Hugh Jackson had him throwing footballs that were soaking wet just to see how he could respond to playing in like Cleveland type weather. Potentially, he was throwing dimes all over the field. So I mean, it's kind of like we talked about a little bit earlier with the NBA and players going to HBCUs. Doesn't really matter where you're at. If you're good, they'll find you, and you'll get a shot at some point. So, but. I think it's, like I said, good for him and stuff. I haven't seen a whole lot of him, obviously, to this point, but I definitely would be looking out for him in the future. And if he's coming from a college like North Dakota State, I mean, you've already seen what they produced recently. So, I mean, they absolutely have good coaching there to get these guys to the point where they can play with some of the big dogs.
I don't even care who you are, all right? It can be 7-on-7s and you can still be throwing interceptions. This dude didn't throw one for an entire season.
Yeah.
He got it done through the air. He got it done on the ground. And if you watch him, when he does miss – he doesn't miss by much. He might throw a couple passes high here and there, but one thing that's impressive is he always gives his receiver a catchable ball.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that's a key point in any level of football is ball security, taking care of that football.
Mm-hmm.
So Trey Lance, name to know. Make sure you know it into the season. Now we're going to talk a little bit about NFL. And this one is something I actually put in recently, and we kind of have a little bit of breaking news with it. But the Washington Redskins were formally asked by FedEx to change their name. And this happened 20 minutes ago.
Actually,
Nike.
Yep, Nike as well.
Nike has told the Redskins, that they are clearing their merchandise out of their stores. So Nike will no longer be selling Washington Redskins. Do we see a change coming?
Yeah, we definitely see a change coming. I think this is really all coming full front and center just because of the incident of George Floyd. May he rest in peace, and that unfortunate death that happened. Like, at this point, I think we're coming as a society, we're starting to realize, like, yo, we have some things we need to fix. And even though we believe ourselves to be such a great country, there's always things you can get better at. So at this point, like, we realize that term, I'm not even going to say it just because I know it's offensive to the Native community. Like, they have people in their community that say it's offensive. So if you have somebody saying it's offensive, at some point you should be able to respect it. Even if you don't find it as offensive, you should be able to hear them out and make that decision. And I think companies are starting to realize, like, we need to listen to our consumers. And even if it means you having to change names that have been set in stone for however long that team's been in the NFL, you do that just to make sure that you have a welcoming environment for everyone.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, I know they've been stubborn about the name change for a couple of years now and stuff, but I mean, the fact that, Nike is pulling out in terms of, supporting their apparel sales and everything. I mean, if there's one thing I know about, businesses in general, once their bottom line starts hurting or once complications started rising with that, part of their business, that's when they're going to start making decisions. And I think it's great that Nike did that. That's interesting that just came up not too long ago, because this is kind of unrelated, but kind of related at the same time. Twitter posted something, like the main Twitter account posted, we'll start allowing you to edit your post once you all start wearing masks in relation to the COVID crisis. So as me, something that's on there a lot for my work and everything, I hate it when I post something and there's a typo. I got to take down my post, put it back up. So I'm like, wear your damn mask. But anyway, it's when big companies, organizations like that take that initiative to try and make change that makes the people who are kind of opposing it or being sticklers with it, makes them start to realize and maybe either come to their senses a little bit about things that need to happen for the greater good of our society, especially, CJ, like you said, right now with everything that's going on. So
yeah, this is legit now. I mean, FedEx paid $200 million for the naming rights to Washington Stadium. And now when they ask for it, it's hurting them. It's hurting their corporate social responsibility as well. And Nike's starting to see that now that they're pulling out, they're going to be hurting from sales. They're going to be hurting from merchandise sales. And it's going to be an issue for them. And I think Dan Snyder, the time is now. The Redskin name is offensive to Redskin people, and they've asked for it for a long time. So the stubbornness needs to hold out. This is kind of something that I kind of have a little bit of like a personal connection to, going to Ole Miss now. I mean, we're kind of known as the Rebels. The UNLV just changed its mascot. We changed our mascot a couple of years ago. This is something that, like, I try to see like a little bit of like a point, maybe like, especially towards like Ole Miss, like, oh, we're called Rebels. Maybe that, like, I asked a couple people who weren't from around here or something like that, what do you think it meant? And, some people were like, oh, I know what it means. I know like the history of it. And then some people were like, oh, I thought it was just like someone who disagrees with rules or whatever. But the bottom line is, if it's offensive, we got to work to change it. And I think that's where Ole Miss is heading. I think that's where Washington is heading. And it's probably it's definitely the right thing to do going forward. But the time is on the clock, and hopefully we can see the Redskins change something. I know Miami, Ohio used to have the issue back in, I don't know what year it was, but they changed from the Redskins to the Red Hawks. Mm-hmm. So maybe that could be where we see them going in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Better late than never.
Yeah. To talk about the now we're gonna save Cam. We're gonna save Cam to the very end.
I got a word to say about Cam.
We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into oh baby, a little bit of a tease there. I got some
words.
Cody Smith with the foreplay, everybody. We're gonna talk a little bit of an age debate that I saw on an IG page at one point talking about football. Joe Burrow is older than Sam Darnold. Is that an issue at all? Is it an issue that they're both 23?
I have no clue why this is an issue for anyone. I mean, people are talking about how it's crazy that the NFL MVP is younger than the first overall pick this year in the draft and the national championship winner. I don't see an issue with it, honestly, and I don't really I guess I'll throw it to CJ or you guys to see what you think. But like, I don't think this is an issue. I don't see what the big deal is. I think people just love to talk crap about Sam Darnold. Anytime they get a chance to dog on him, they just got to dog on that man.
I see ghosts. Like, honestly, no, I think this is probably something stupid. I know some people are going to say, well, I guess you might have Sam Darnold longer. Ultimately, it's going to be to each team who can protect their quarterback. If you have a good offensive line, hey, your quarterback, Joe Burrow, can play. Quarterbacks are starting to play until they're 40. So if you can get at least 12 to 15 years out of Joe Burrow, who's going to really care about that, him being 23 now? Like, as long as you get your productive years out of him and you protect your quarterback, you're going to be happy with what you do. And I think this is ridiculous. I didn't see this on social media, but, yeah, I would have been like, you're complaining about nothing for no reason.
There's bigger concerns in the world right now, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. This is one of those things, and I actually, now that I think about it, I hate that I put it in the script because this was obviously a graphic that just caught my eye, and it kind of infuriated me at the moment. And when people do stuff like this, it's literally just like almost like clickbait level, like ads or graphics or whatever. And I'm letting them win by doing this. I'm letting them win by talking about it on our show. But no, there's no reason why this matters because there's so many factors that go into a quarterback being successful. It's the talent around him. It's the coaching he's getting. It's the coordinators he has. All right? Now, yes, if you're Cleveland Browns and you're taking Brandon Weeden in the first round at 20 at what, 28? Yes,
we don't need to bring in the Browns quarterback stuff. We don't. There's nothing.
I mean, I understand if you take a guy who's 23, 24, whatever, versus a guy that's like 21. I know there's an age debate in the NBA about taking a guy younger who's 18 compared to 22. But no, this doesn't matter. There's so many factors. Joe Burrow was probably the best quarterback prospect to come out since what? Andrew Luck? Jared Goff, maybe?
Yeah.
Luck. No, Goff.
Goff was a really good prospect coming out as far as tools.
Better than Luck and Burrow?
No, not better than Luck. Not by as long.
No, but they
were.
You
dare toss that name in that trio.
Well, you're judging them based off how they did, but when they came out, Jared Goff was consensus number one.
Okay.
All right. But no, this absolutely.
I know you try to pick your boy.
This is absolutely a debate that should not happen. Joe Burrow is a fantastic quarterback, and as long as the Bengals do something to make it easier on him, he should be fine.
I mean, like I would.
It's the Bengals, though. It is the Bengals.
I understand that you get Sam Darnold for a couple more years, but this isn't something that should go into the mind. You take the best player you can get. Yeah. All right. There's a reason the Browns took Baker over Darnold. All right. I'm sure it didn't have to do the Baker was.
Shouldn't have taken Baker, but.
Oh, Baker will be fine.
Shouldn't have taken Baker, man. I'm still mad that I know we got Chubb, and then we did good on Chubb. I want Saquon, man. I want Saquon. You could have gotten Baker at 4.
No,
you could have gotten Baker at 4.
If he's your guy, you go and get him, and I don't care what pick.
I don't agree that he's your guy.
It's your coaching.
He was coming out. He was Johnny 2.0, and I was not having it.
No, he wasn't. No, get out of here.
I'm not talking about skill set.
Get out of here. Someone mute this man. How do I mute him?
I'm not talking about skill set. I'm talking about his persona. All right, what he was going to bring to the league, his loud mouth. All right, his need for attention. He's calm. He's calmed down. All right, he's gotten better with that. But when I first saw him coming out, he was like Johnny in his social society there, and I did not want that again. I did not want that again. All right.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just don't believe in the whole quarterback should be quiet. I would personally, if I was an owner or a GM, I would want my quarterback to have some spunk to him. Like, I like that Baker was that type of quarterback, and I hate that. Right? Well, I get why he's kind of backing down now. He hasn't really shown that he's that elite quarterback yet, but man, I would love to see Patrick Mahomes, or you've even seen Deshaun Watson say a few things when people try to take digs at him, like, let him know, like, yeah, I'm that quarterback now. Like, I want to see that little extra, like, feist to you. I don't believe in that old quarterback mindset of, oh, you're just a leader, you're supposed to say everything right. No. Old.
I'm all for it. And someone that works in the media too. I love that stuff. I love guys who are speaking their mind and everything too. But when you're just running your mouth for no reason, just trying to gain attention, that's when I have an issue. When you're just trying to gain attention because you can't do it on the field. So like you're trying to get it somewhere, you know. I don't know. That's what Johnny was. That's what Johnny was.
For the record,
what Johnny was.
Cody is somewhat of a Browns fan.
I am a Browns fan.
That's
my team.
He's a little hurt. He's
That's
a little
my
hurt right
team.
now. He's a little hurt right now. Answer the question. How many coaches has Baker Mayfield had since entering the league?
Okay, I know.
No, answer the question.
Answer the question. Four. He's had 4 different head coaches.
4 in how many years?
And not even 3. I know.
Exactly.
He's going to the third season.
What are you getting on this man for?
I'm not getting on him for his gameplay at all.
You
all
do
right?
understand that you need to have success and continuity with your coaches to establish things?
Yes.
We should have saw this.
I agree.
I know they had a talent.
I agree with that. Oh, I completely agree with that.
Why are you getting on the man?
Because again, it's the way that he handled himself off of the field, man. Like if you got stuff to work on, you got to work on it, man. Don't cause more attention to yourself like that. I want my quarterback
talking shit out there. I want him to.
What? How does he have the right to? What has he done to deserve that right? He deserved it in college. You were a great player in college.
He's got his team behind him. He's going out there. He's backing his players up. He's ready for it. He wants that challenge.
Hey,
I loved just a nicer way.
I loved him. I loved him.
Doing it, not named Andrew Luck.
I loved him.
Doing it.
Andrew Luck in league.
They're all doing it.
I love Baker shotgun the beer at Progressive Field for an Indians game. I love that. All right, that's kind of stuff I live for. All right, but just sometimes, just know when to pull it back, man. All right. I love that you wake up feeling dangerous. You want to tell the team about it. I love that too. I'm all for it, but just. Sometimes there's been things that he's done that remind me of Johnny, and I don't want a Johnny football. I'm sorry, I don't want.
I feel like he's proved more. I just want to
kill the Johnny Baker debate. It's not.
He
real.
is.
It's not
he has proved more. I'm saying when he came out of college, when he came to. I'm not saying right now what he's done since then. I'm saying, man, he showed similar traits. That's all I'm saying. All right, he thought he was on top of the world. He thought he was just come in and run the NFL and stuff.
They were never the same.
I think he's a lot better than Johnny.
He's better.
Johnny should have stayed in. Like Baker, I feel like Baker.
I'm not even talking about skill. I'm not talking about skill.
I'm just saying, like Baker has the right to be that arrogant person. Like he walked on and he's proved multiple times, hey, I'm that quarterback. Now, yeah, he has to do it at the NFL level, and he's getting all these commercials, so he needs to prove it a little more.
Baker Mayfield walked up to Coach Stoops at Oklahoma in a dining hall and said, I'm your quarterback. And he didn't even know who he was. Sure enough, he was. All right, if you don't love that kind of attitude out of your quarterback, that ferocious leadership, that ferocious ability, that feistiness, that's what I want in my quarterback, to go out and get it done, whatever it takes.
You know, I like a guy being drafted in the 6th round, and nobody thought he was going to make a name for himself in the NFL, and he goes out and wins 6 Super Bowls. That's my kind of quarterback. I like that guy.
Even though I like Tom Brady.
All right. Actually, this is the perfect segue. This is the perfect segue. All right. Now that we're on the topic of the Patriots, let's talk about Cam Newton. Signs to the Patriots on a 1-year deal with a little over $1 million, with the potential to earn up to $7.5 million, I believe, in incentives.
Good incentives, yeah.
Yep.
Cody, we just got heated talking about this, but I know we're going to get heated again. Go ahead and tell me what you believe in Cam.
Well, listen. Okay, so as a proud fantasy owner in my keeper league of Cam Newton for a couple of years, all right, I traded for him. He won me a championship in that league. I love Cam Newton. All right, I love him. I still think he's got a lot left in the tank. It's not actually about Cam Newton. It's more so about the fact that people are just thinking, oh, New England's back. Oh, New England's back on top of the AFC East. Oh, they're back in it and stuff. Hold up. So take a look back at the last time we saw Cam Newton. I mean, the last time we saw him in a game back in 2019, played 2 games 2019, he could barely get a ball 15 yards downfield with any kind of accuracy or even complete it. All right. It's not a fact that he's had all these injuries to his lower body specifically that have kind of prevented him from being the quarterback that we used to see and stuff, from being Superman.
Is he the starter though?
In New England?
Yeah.
Oh, don't you dare try to tell me. Don't you dare. No, we're not even having it.
The AFC executive said that the Patriots love Stidham, so I have to throw it out there.
No, man. No.
I had to.
No. I'll lose a little respect for Belichick if he does that. No. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I believe that Cam I think that it's good that the Patriots went and got him, because I don't think that they could do anything with Stidham. I'm sorry. Especially when you have no weapons around, with Julian Edelman's your best weapon. I mean, Edelman's not no scrub receiver. He's a good receiver. Sanu's got some left of the tank in him. I think Harry can be a good young wideout for them and stuff and progress. But here's the thing. And this is why I don't think the Patriots are going to be the same team they were last year, or still be like favorites to win the AFC East over the Bills, especially. We'll talk about that a little bit too. Is this team has been built around the fact that no matter who they put in there, you can take a glorified college lacrosse player, and Tom Brady will turn him into, a borderline Pro Bowl wide receiver. No matter who you threw in there for Tom Brady, he is going to make something with that team. All right. He's a guy that is going to make everyone around him better. Okay. He's kind of like LeBron James in the NBA. He's going to make people around him better. I don't know if Cam Newton can do that right now in his career. Cam Newton's trying to find out if he can still – I'm sure he still believes wholeheartedly that he can play and be a good starter in this league, and I think he can too, honestly. I need to see if his arm is good enough to be able to get those deep shots on, because he had a cannon for an arm back in his prime there and back in, like, his MVP season 2015. But that's the biggest question mark for me. I think that it's going to be good. He's going to add that dual threat, in the running game and stuff in New England, which is going to help them a lot. But I don't care how many times you run the ball or you just kind of like tuck it and run for those extra yards, keep moving the chains there with that. If you can't threaten downfield, defense don't care if you're going to run the ball or if you're going to give it to Michelle or you're going to dump it off on the side to James White. They're going to stack the box against you, and they're going to make it hard for you to make that running attack even possible if you can't get the ball downfield. That's my biggest concern with him. And that's why I think people should hold back on saying the Patriots can be right where they were last season. If Tom Brady could not get past the divisional round last year in the playoffs, or and everybody had questions about if the Patriots offense could even be like formidable in the late part of the season. If Tom Brady, the best quarterback of all time, couldn't do that, the weapons that he had, which are pretty much the same weapons coming back this year for Cam Newton, you think Cam Newton's going to get 12 wins with this team? I don't think it's going to happen.
Yes, it's going to happen. 2 words: Josh McDaniels, the OC for the Patriots. He's definitely going to tailor his offense to use Cam's abilities to run. I don't know. My personal opinion, I love Tom Brady. He's favorite quarterback. He played at Michigan, so he has that going for him for me. But he's 40. Like, it's time for him to hang. It's time for him to hang it up. Cam Newton is much younger, and I think Cam Newton is a lot more healthier now. He wasn't healthy last year. I hope he's completely healthy. And what do the Patriots have to lose? You signed him to $1 million deal, and he has to receive all his he has to meet every little marker to get the $7.5 million. So they don't have much to lose in it. And hey, if it doesn't work out, you cut him, you let Stidham be your quarterback, and next thing you know, they have the first, second round, or the first overall pick and can get Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, or whoever. Patriots always been the smartest team, and I think Bill Belichick is going to find a way to make this work. But ultimately, I think it comes down to Josh McDaniels formatting the offense around him. Tom Brady was old, and at a certain point, you can see the decline in Tom Brady. You started to see the decline, and I think he's completely fell off the cliff, especially to play in New England, especially during the winter time. I think don't get me wrong, Tom Brady's going to be good in Tampa. He's not really going to have to play in winter conditions. So as long as he's in that warm weather with him being older, I think he'll be fine. And they have talent. I think Cam Newton can actually help them be the number 1 team back in the AFC East. I feel sorry for the Bills because the Bills probably thought it was their year with all the additions they made. And I think the Patriots made this one deal that I can't believe other teams like the Chargers and any other team that could use a quarterback did not make. And now the Patriots are right back in there in the playoff hunt.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to look at this and try to – because if you know anything, you know that in football your word can be completely misleading. So there could have been a little bit of a plan of this for a while. And I say that because you think about it. They drafted Garoppolo. They held on to him for so long, and then Garoppolo performed. They held on to him, and they ultimately traded him. But you knew how good Garoppolo was, and they did the same thing with Brissett. And then they come out again, and they say, we love Stidham. Stidham's our guy. And then as the market dries up for Cam, they're the only team to throw an offer at him. So it's either Cam goes there or he doesn't. So I think that was a brilliant move by them. But it's actually impressive. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Cam's career. He's a 59% completion percentage, so you know he's not the best passer. But here's you know this. But he's never passed for more than 25 touchdowns other than his MVP season in 2015. But to say I want to talk a little bit about his coaching, and I looked up who his coordinator was, and his quarterback coach was this, and Mike Shula came up. And Mike Shula was a quarterback coach from 2011 to 2013, so his rookie year on, and then he became the offensive coordinator from 2013 to 2017. Now, obviously, Cam has had some injury history in the past that probably could have affected him a little bit. But after that, Mike Shula leaves Carolina in 2017, goes to New York for the 2018-2019 season, or at least 2018 towards this past offseason. And he worked with Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones had an impressive rookie campaign for the most part. And now he's working with Drew Lock in Denver. Now, why do I say this? Because as CJ brought it up, Josh McDaniels is the key to all this. Because your coaching, the people you have around you, the system you put in place is whether you're going to make or break a quarterback, unless you just have freak level talent levels. That's just the way the game is. And I think people really underestimate how important coaching is. Now, yes, if you're Patrick Mahomes and you can throw the ball 80 yards downfield accurately or throw it across your body in like a godlike form, then yeah, you may have it a little bit easier. But if you look at Cam Newton and you look at this New England offense, they're absolutely going to tailor it to the no-huddle style that we saw in Carolina, and I think it absolutely can be effective. If you're going to look at like the players they have around them, I know, Cody, you didn't talk about the weapons. They have secretly been adding weapons that are going to make it look really interesting. You have Sony Michel in the backfield. You have N'Keal Harry, who's very fast on the outside. You have Julian Edelman, who's one of the best route runners in football. You add a Marquise Lee, who's also a demon with speed. You add a Damiere Byrd, who had an impressive year in Arizona and is one of the fastest players I've seen. And they even had a free undrafted free agent pickup in Will Hastings. Actually, he may have gotten drafted out of Auburn, who is also a really good route runner. This team is going to look different than any other New England team that we've seen, but that's what New England does. They adapt. They adapt to their situation that's going on. I remember McVay saying after the Super Bowl that, like, New England had been running man or whatever the case may have been, and literally McVay was just like, yeah, they ran zone the whole time. We didn't see it coming. That's what they're going to do. They're going to change it up. This isn't going to look like the same New England offense that you're used to. And, yeah, Cam Newton may only throw for 20 touchdowns, but he'll be effective on the ground. And just having him at quarterback, knowing that there's a threat, will open up some of those other guys. And I think it's actually going to be really fun to see. And I think the Patriots, I'm not going to say they're going to win 12 games, but I think they are going to be right up there at the top of the division. They're going to be competing. That's just Belichick's way. They're not tanking, and they never will.
I'm not saying they're going to tank, and I'm not saying that this isn't a good sign for the Patriots. I think it's the best sign the Patriots could have made. You know, I actually thought that Jameis might have been a good project to take on because I think that Jameis's talent is there. He just needs some better coaching, and that coaching could have been, coming from McDaniels and Belichick. Again, my issue with this is I understand that coaching matters, and to your points, like I 100% agree with that. And I know that McDaniels is a great OC. He's proven it time and time again. But hearing you two talk just now, I am hearing a lot of disrespect for my boy, Tom Brady. A lot of disrespect. So, again, my issue with this is
if you want to talk Tom, we can talk Tom.
People are – I know Tom is not what he used to be. He hasn't completely fallen off a cliff, CJ. Good Lord.
Oh, gosh. Yes,
No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't. If he has, then why is everybody calling the Buccaneers a potential Super Bowl pick in the NFC?
They're stupid.
The experts are okay. Cool.
They're stupid.
All right.
Well, before you all
no,
each other, let's get into an honest debate about Tom Brady. We can do the debate.
I'm not done. I want to. You guys had your chance. I just want to wrap up my thoughts.
I'll talk
here.
Tom Brady after this. I'll talk your ass off about Tom Brady.
I just want to wrap my thoughts up about this. I think Cam Newton's a great addition. I think that he has. I think he's far from done his career. And you've seen his social media. That guy is more Superman looking than he was before the injury. I mean, I think that his body physically is ready to go. I am concerned about the arm. I really am. All right. The guy used to be able to sling it down the field, maybe not with the best accuracy, like Trevor mentioned, but he can still get the ball down the field. And I'm sorry, in today's game, especially, that is a key part of having successful offensive play. And I don't think that's smart to just make him go into a system
San Francisco.
Really? You think Jimmy G is underrated in his arm strength, in my opinion. He's still underrated. He missed a few throws in the Super Bowl. Obviously, everybody got to see on display. But anyway, but I think that it's going to be a true test to see if Cam can still sling the ball like he could when he was a younger player and stuff, or before the injuries happened. I don't think their weapons are good enough for him. I think that in a system where Tom Brady was in it, Tom Brady can can observe the defense. He can dissect it. He can call a few different audibles. He knows where the mismatches are and better than anyone. I'm not saying Cam can't do that, but you can't tell me that Cam Newton's going to come into this team with these weapons that he has. They're pretty much the exact same that Tom Brady had a year ago. I mean, Trev, you mentioned the additions of like Bird and Lee in the receiving core, which are still guys who
are unproven.
Unproven to this point. Unproven a little bit. They're unproven. All right. They're not household names, man. They're solid players. And you're right. Lee has like burning speed. And I didn't see a whole lot of Bird last year in Arizona. I know you're a Cardinals fan, so you know more about him than I do. And I trust your word that he's a solid player. But I mean, it's just I'm not ready to be sold that this team is just gonna take the AFC East like they have been accustomed to doing. I think the Bills are on the rise. Adding Diggs, adding some to that wide receiving core that already had Brown and Cole Beasley, as good solid receivers there. That defense is right up there with the Patriots, which Patriots have lost some on their defense too. So I think not having Van Noy and not having Collins this year and that linebacking core is going to hurt them a little bit in terms of their defensive strategy, but. Man, I'm just saying, man, don't sleep on the Bills. I think it's a great signing, Cam Newton. I hope he does well. Like I said, that was my boy in fantasy football. He carried me for a couple of years. I love Cam Newton. But I'm just not really for this whole New England's right back to a 12-win team with Cam Newton as their quarterback. I need to see a little more proof in an actual season before I can just say, yeah, they're just going to run away with this division.
I don't know. Like, my thing is, head coach is still there. Bill Belichick. I'm never going to bet against this man. I've lost money betting against him, and after that, I was like, I'm never doing that again. I've always betted on him, and he hasn't proven me wrong anytime I've betted with him.
Who's been his quarterback? Who's been his quarterback ever since? Everybody's like, Bill's the GOAT.
Bill's the GOAT. He is – I'm sorry. I love Tom Brady. He's not the same quarterback anymore, and we have to
That's
be
all right. We're getting into it right now. Bonus segment for all the viewers out there. Episode 1, we already decided we're going to get on to something else. Tom Brady. Cody versus CJ, and then I'll throw in my 2 cents at the end. Go at it.
You're already rolling with it. Go ahead.
All right. So my thing is, I love Tom Brady. He has fallen off the cliff. I think he can't hit the receivers with the exact velocity, especially because his receivers couldn't even get open. Now, I'm going to say he has probably the best receiving duo in the NFL with Evans and Goodwin. So, yeah, he's going to be able to throw to them. Like, they're going to be able to get open. So, yeah, they're going to make him look good. You have O.J. Howard, and Howard, they decide to use him. And they have Cameron Brate as well. So, like, has talent there.
And don't forget.
I forgot. Who?
Oh, you got to be kidding me. You can't talk about the bucket.
Oh my gosh, I forgot. Gronk is back. I forgot he has his best friend. I forgot about Gronk. Can't believe I forgot about Gronk. That's poor of me.
I mean, yeah, Tom Brady's not the same quarterback he was a couple of years ago because he's 43? Like how old is that man now? I mean, he's 42, 43. He wants to play
until he's 45. And I'm just like, all right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue with it that he's not the same player that he used to be. But he's still Tom Brady. Like that man has done some things in the NFL that we have not seen any other quarterback do. I mean, and I'm not saying that he's going to go out there and put up like MVP numbers and everything, and he's going to be restored to his greatness or anything. I'm not expecting that at all. But
25 touchdowns at most.
Sure. Hey, I don't even think that stat matters. The stat that matters for the Buccaneers is how many less interceptions he's going to throw than Jameis. All right. Good Lord, man. I mean, that team was 7-9 last year with 33 interceptions thrown. I mean, granted, like 10 of them weren't necessarily like all on Jameis. They were tip balls and stuff, but you still got to throw the ball into that coverage in that area where those DBs are at, That's
a whole nother story. Let's not talk about him because but anyway, I'm so mad he just got his eyes fixed. Clearly, why are you playing if you can't see? Like,
right.
Oh, that makes me mad.
But no, Tom Brady is, again, he's not the guy he wants to be, but he hasn't fallen off a cliff. I think that he still very much, has left in the tank. I think it's going to be nice to actually see him throw to some receivers that can catch the ball and get open consistently again. I mean, for years we got used to the fact that, Bill went to Tom and said, hey, this is the These are the guys we picked up from the corner, make them into NFL players, I'm excited to see him play with a guy that's like at the level of Randy Moss again. You remember how great those teams were? I know it's a younger Tom, but we had Randy Moss to throw to. You give him a guy like that to throw to. You got a guy like Evans and Godwin out there, O.J. Howard, Gronk, and he's got a solid running game. That O-line is a little suspect, but I think he'll be okay. But, I still think Tom's got some left in the tank. But again, but going back to the Patriots and Belichick, man. All right, I'm not saying I'm betting against Belichick. I'm not saying the Patriots aren't going to get 9-10 wins this year and stuff like that. But do not tell me that this is going to be a test for both Bill and Tom. And people have been talking about this before Cam even got to New England. How are the Patriots with Belichick, and how are the Buccaneers with Tom going to do now that those two have split apart finally? All right.
Hot take. I got a hot take already.
We know Bill Belichick is a brilliant man. All right. He's one of the best. He's arguably the GOAT of coaches in the NFL ranks. All right.
I got a hot take for it.
I'm just saying. But who did he do it with all those years at quarterback? All right. It's easy when you got a guy that's on the same wavelength as you that can dissect things on the field and that can do the things that Tom Brady did. It makes you look good as a coach because Belichick can't get out there and sling the ball for Cam. All right. Cam's got to do the work out there. All right.
So this is what I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. So if we have a hot take, whoever decides to make that hot take, everybody else gets to decide what that person has to do if it doesn't happen. That's what we should do.
What doesn't happen?
Within reason.
If what doesn't happen?
So my hot take off of the first episode, the New England Patriots will win 11 games and will be first in the division. Going there. 11 games.
All right. We will hold you to that. And if it doesn't
Already
happen, we'll figure out what
we'll
embarrassing
decide
thing we can do.
I got to think of something good. Again, I don't think they're not going to be good. I don't think they're not going to win, and be in, over 500 and stuff. But I just think people need to slow the roll a little bit, like they're going to be the exact same as they were last year without the greatest quarterback of all time. I know he's older, but you got a new marriage here. You got to see how it's going to work out, man.
All right, I can't believe nobody brought this up, and it really upsets me because Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. Is he the same Tom Brady he was 5 years ago?
No.
Probably not. Was he the same quarterback he was 10 years ago? No. But when you put great minds together, you have brilliant things. And there is no better quarterback whisperer in the NFL than Bruce Arians. He did it with Peyton Manning. He did it with Ben Roethlisberger. And he made Carson Palmer look like a serviceable quarterback. I'm just kidding. Carson Palmer's actually really good in Arizona.
He didn't do it with Jameis. He didn't do it with Jameis.
He made Jameis – he was a league leader in passing yards, okay? He was a league leader in passing yards, 330 touchdowns, but he had to throw a lot more than what Arians normally likes to do. And I can talk about this because I know Arians. I know how he likes to play. And this is my one fact. Tom Brady is not an Arians-style quarterback. This is going to look like a whole different offense compared to what Arians normally likes to run. Arians loves to take shots down the field. He loves big arm quarterbacks. He loves a little bit of mobility, and he likes for them to be 6'6" for some reason. That's just normally that's his type of guy. That's how he is, all right? I know it. I know how the Cardinals drafted when they took Logan Thomas in like the 5th round. They called him the project quarterback of the future. That man's playing tight end for somebody now. Yeah. So, but here's the thing. When you pair him with Tom Brady and you say, hey, Tom, you come here, we're going to build this offense together, and we're going to build it the way you like it and the way I see some things, it's going to be successful, all right? Yes, they have the weapons around him. One guy that no one brought up, Keyshawn Vaughn. Now, Arians is notorious for not playing rookies right out of the gate, but when David Johnson played in Arizona, coming out in like the last few games after Chris Johnson got hurt, fantastic. I think Keyshawn Vaughn could have that kind of impact at the late end of the season. He's a really good pass catcher, and Arians loves pass-catching backs. And so does Tom Brady.
So does Tom Brady.
Yeah.
That's how James White's a household name right now.
Here's the thing, and I'm not going to call it a hot take because I don't think it's really that hot. Both those teams are going to be successful. Both of them are. Now, the Buccaneers may be a little bit more set up than the Patriots. I think that you can't say that, like, Tom Brady's washed. You can't say that Tom Brady's used up. No. Tom Brady's already out there putting in work with his receivers. He might be breaking some social regulations to do it, but he is ready. He's got
Tom Brady. Whatever.
Listen.
Break it into a few.
They're just happy to have him.
Break it into a few houses, too.
I'm not going to say exactly this, but this is a little bit of energy, like a different energy from Tom Brady, you know? Now, he's always been a one accustomed to putting in work with his receivers in the offseason, no matter where it is. You know, Edelman talked many stories about his past in doing that. But Tom's a little different right now. Tom's ready for this. And I think it might – and, yeah, with the shortened season or whatever, you know, off season, if everything doesn't start on time, that might have an effect for new quarterbacks in new places, especially with a roster that took an overhaul like theirs. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Brady went out there and had an incredible season. I'm not saying anywhere near MVP level, but I'm saying Tom Brady could have a very impressive season. He might throw a little bit more interceptions because that might be how Arians plays the game. But I wouldn't be surprised if this team was ready for the playoffs come next offseason.
So who do you think has a better season? All right, Buccaneers or Patriots?
They both lost a lot. Like they both like the Buccaneers overhaul, and then like the Patriots like losing both Van Noy and Jamie Collins.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say the Patriots did some impressive things where they actually started signing some guys long term. Normally that wasn't what they did, but they actually locked up some other players. I think if you look at it right now, if Cam can stay healthy with the Patriots, I think the Patriots are more successful this season. Next season it'll be the Buccaneers, though, only because I believe that I think with COVID that there's going to be some issues getting everything started back up, and that's going to hurt guys who can't get together. You know, if you don't have enough time to practice on some things, Arians not going to see some things. Right now it's just Tom working out with some receivers. I know he's had some meetings with Byron Leftwich, who's the OC, by the way. Byron Leftwich, also a pretty underrated OC. But I think right now, if they get the full offseason, like, you know, get training camp and everything underway soon, then it could be the Buccaneers. I think it's all depending on that.
We'll see.
I think it's Buccaneers out of the way, honestly. And you're not going to sit here and tell me if you're Arians or you're Leftwich and you got a guy like Tom Brady there, I don't care how damn old he is, all right? You're going to tell me that you're going to make him run your offense step by step? No. There's going to be some discussions, and there's going to be, like, some compromises.
But if you can't have those discussions.
Oh, they're talking.
They're talking.
You're telling me
talking.
They're not in person. They're not in person and stuff talk like this and be able to work it out on the field, but they're talking about their schemes and everything.
Oh, I know they're talking about it, but I'm saying they can't work on it because they don't have like are we missing OTAs and stuff right now?
When you're a seasoned vet like Tom Brady, though, I'd be more worried about Cam Newton getting integrated into the Patriots offense than Tom Brady getting integrated into the Arians offense, honestly with you.
Well, they're not going to run Arians offense. They're both completely new.
I know, but they're not going to run exactly what Belichick was running with Brady because they got a completely different style of quarterback with Cam Newton, you know. So I mean, they're going to switch things up in both departments there. So, but I don't know, man. I have issues betting against Tom Brady in that situation down there. And CJ, your point earlier about how Tom Brady plays better in the warmth than he does in the cold, it's not true, dog. He struggles. Okay. He struggles when he goes down to Miami to put a Dolphins. As hard as that is to believe, he struggles down there, man. That's why. I was interested when he chose Tampa because he does not play as well in warm weather situations as he does in cold weather historically.
Long-term health reasons.
Yeah, his old man body, sure, but like in terms of like his play 16 times a year on Sunday,
like I've said, I love Tom Brady. I think he's done, and I think Cam Newton is gonna be a.
We didn't talk about competition at all. We didn't talk about that.
Oh,
NFC South versus AFC East. They're two different divisions. The Bills are up and coming. The Dolphins could surprise a couple people if Tua ends up having a really good season.
We ain't got to talk about the Jets.
He should.
We ain't got to talk about the Jets.
The Jets ain't there yet.
Don't even mention
the Jets aren't there yet.
They're never gonna be there.
They're stupid enough to lose the best player, man, because they want to pay him. No, actually, like here's the thing. Like you're talking about competition. The Patriots, they got to go play Seattle this year on the road, KC on the road, Houston on the road. They got Baltimore and San Francisco at home. They actually do have the toughest schedule right now. The Patriots do. And then and of course they got to play
against Bill Belichick.
I'm not betting against. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying what the facts are.
I'm gonna hit CJ's hot take with them real quick.
All right.
Who else is in the NFC South?
You have what? The NFC South. So what? Saints.
The
Atlanta.
Saints. The Saints who are really good. You have Carolina. You have Carolina, who's probably going to figure some things out this year.
Teddy.
Teddy.
I don't know, man. New head coach, new quarterback.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe.
And then you have Atlanta.
Yeah.
Who has Matt Ryan, Julio, and company.
Let me not get started.
That's tough. I still am a believer that Atlanta's only a couple of years removed from a Super Bowl. I mean, it's a little.
I'm gonna let the pod know now. Anything Georgia related, I never will believe in. I lived in Georgia. Every time they're supposed to be good, they suck. They blow leads. I have no faith.
They do blow leads.
The best thing in Georgia sports it's MLS, and it's Atlanta United. They're the only team to do something ever in Georgia, so
Ugh.
I have no faith in any other team in Georgia. I'm just
I
gonna
think
be
for
honest.
I think for
Ouch.
you to pick Tampa Bay over New Orleans as the NFC division or the South leader is incredibly high.
I'd rather have Drew Brees than
and I can't wait. And I can't wait for that to come
You
back
thought
and bite
that you thought I picked Tampa Bay over New Orleans?
No, CJ said that he picked the Buccaneers to be the leaders in the division.
Oh,
at
did he?
11
I didn't even hear that
No,
part.
I didn't say that.
No, no
You
one
said
said
hot.
that.
You said hot take. It was Tampa
He said
Bay.
hot
No.
take. Patriots win 11 games.
Patriots.
Yeah.
Woo!
That was his hot take. Patriots win 11 games. That was his hot take.
All right.
No,
Well,
I'd rather have Drew Brees still. Granted, he got hurt.
No,
last
I'm not saying that the Bucks are going to dethrone the Saints.
all
No,
right.
I don't-
Well, all
I
right.
don't
I may have gotten one wrong.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I think
It's
the
okay.
Saints are going to be right
First
back where they
episode
were
jitters.
last year. I hope the Saints finally get to a dang Super Bowl again, man. I'm tired of those guys getting robbed. It's ridiculous, man. They didn't deserve it, man. I'm tired of it. But no, I think the Bucks will put up a fight against them. But I think they'll take the wild card spot in the NFC. But I don't think they're going to win the NFC South down there. No way. I don't think they have to worry about Atlanta and Carolina. But yeah, New Orleans. That's a buzzsaw still.
All right. Yeah. So let's go ahead and let's close out the episode. And we're going to close it out in a little bit of a fun way. I didn't plan for this. I didn't prep for this. But I want to hear one thing that's happened to you all in the past week that is just either really grinds your gears or is just so stupid it's funny. Give me something, a little bit of positivity going on to close out the show. A little less heat, a little more fun.
Oh, you want to go first, or Trevor? You go since you have this.
Yeah, I'll give
my
you all
face. Does my
give-
face insinuate that I'm ready for this?
All right, I'll go first. Let you all think for a second. So when I moved, I initially went home back to West Virginia for COVID-19, and when I came back to Oxford, my AC was broke,
Yeah, I know.
and it reached. And Mississippi in the summertime is pretty brutal. It's not fun. So the AC or whatever, like thermostat in my house registered that it was 87 degrees inside. So I was sleeping in a sweat puddle, wake up every day. So I finally get him to fix it, and the guy comes in, and at my apartment, they contract out all of their HVAC issues. So they hired this company, and they sent this kid who might have been 17 or something. I don't even know. He looked really young, and he pretty much told me as he was crawling around in this above my apartment that, hey, I have to replace this part. And it would be a couple of days. So instead, I'm going to just put a little Freon here, and hopefully it'll work up, and I'll put some duct tape on the part, and hopefully it'll just, be fine. Well, that worked for about a week and a half. So I had to go put another work order in. And they contracted it out to a different company. So the guy came in at noon earlier this week and was like, oh, yeah, you got to replace this part. I was like, yeah, I know. Did they not tell you about it? I told them about it when it came down, to order the work order. I know you had to replace the part. So what they do is the maintenance guy hauls up this big ass fan and just puts it in the center of my room to where it's just clunky and awkward. And I know, hopefully you saw it on my Snapchat story, but there's a video of me pressing all the buttons. This fan doesn't work. Again, it is 87 degrees in my apartment. I'm sweating. And I couldn't believe the fact that I had to wait another 3 days for them to come and fix the AC. But now I'm just stuck here with this just big ass fan just sitting in the middle of my room because I don't know what to do with it, and they won't come take it back.
That's rough, man.
So we are a big time sports pod, and we are a big anti HVAC pod. That's my hot take.
Oh man.
Cody.
Man, so we were supposed to go to some friends of mine and I were supposed to go to Vegas back in March, and obviously that got derailed because of COVID-19. So recently, Trevor's part of this group. We're going to try to go back out there right now. So this week I've been trying to book flights and everything. We're about 2 weeks away, a little less than 2 weeks away from going out there.
Nice.
Trying to get my flights booked and everything. So back when I had to cancel my flights, I got flight credit. So I got a certain amount from Delta. I was taking it back from Vegas, and I got a certain amount from Spirit. Was taking that from Detroit to Vegas. So I got confirmation saying I had the flight credit. So when I went to go back to try to purchase my tickets, I was going to do a round trip through Delta. I had enough to cover it. I booked through Expedia. And so I have an account with Expedia.com, have an account with Spirit, don't have an account with Delta. So apparently when I went to talk to the Expedia people, they said they had no record of me actually canceling my flight, which I told them because they contacted me that I want to cancel and get flight credit. And they gave me another email back saying I had it. So end up not being able to use my flight credit at all. So I had to pay like $157 for a one-way out there with Delta to get to Vegas. That was like the only flight that worked for me. And then I go on there to Spirit to use my flight credit there, and I had it. But then they threw a bunch of these like extra charges, like, you know, check bags and which seat you want and stuff like that at me. So that cost me like still a couple of like $100-something and everything, even after my credit. So just all this back and forth with trying to get out there, man. And I got like a bunch of layovers and stuff, and it's just made me come to the realization after all this, I'm never ever using Expedia again or any kind of booking website. Just go. This is a PSA for all of you. Go directly to the airline site, man. Sign up with an account, because Delta didn't know what the hell I was talking about, man. When I sent some flight credit from Expedia? No. So that's been killing me the past couple of days, just trying to get that ironed out and get some flights and not just absolutely break my bank, because I'm already do that on Vegas as it is. But
all right, so pro sports, anti-HVAC, anti-Expedia.
Anti-Expedia. We're not giving it as a sponsor. I burned that bridge.
All right, CJ, what do you got?
Honestly, like, you guys are definitely having a lot more fun during this whole pandemic.
Fun?
Well, I'm saying like a more adventurous. Like,
I'm wearing a hat. Pulling my hair out, dog.
You want to trade some rocks, brother?
Y'all are definitely having more adventurous stories than that. Like, honestly, like
I
you
wake
said,
up and all of a sudden I'm in a pool.
I was supposed to be going to Vegas in March as well with my girlfriend, which honestly, I think she's tired of me doing this pod. She's snoring in the background.
Oh, she's been there?
Yeah, she's been there the whole time. I'm definitely gonna hear it tomorrow, but I'll make it up.
Our first listener already fell asleep watching.
Man,
Five-star pod. Leave a comment.
We're over right now.
She's definitely gonna be mad at me tomorrow when she wakes up.
Oh
But yeah, I really don't have anything besides. Yeah, my girlfriend is snoring in the background and has been for the last hour. She's probably really gonna be mad at me. So if y'all don't hear from me next week, you know why. I'm in trouble. I'm in the doghouse.
All right. Well, looks like that's our show, everybody.
What's up, guys? Hope you enjoyed the talk. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube page and follow us on social media.